We measure many health markers, like heart rate and blood pressure, but we lack an objective measure for mental fatigue. While patients frequently report brain fog, there hasn't been a way to quantify it. We are now introducing the concept of fatigability, a measure of how long the brain can sustain attention before its energy reserves are depleted.
There is a disconnect in clinical practice. Highly fit patients can still experience significant brain fog. While physical metrics like aerobic fitness and grip strength indicate overall health, they don't directly map to cognitive processing speed. A patient can be physically resilient, but remain cognitively fragile. We need to bridge the gap between physical and neurological capacity.
Introducing the Cognitive Breathalyzer, a 3-minute stress test focused on the right prefrontal cortex. Unlike complex evaluations, this test functions like a precise medical tool. Its goal is to provide a real-time state measure of the brain, assessing the speed and stability of cognitive processing when challenged.
Unlike standard brain games that are prone to a learning effect, where repetition masks true decline, this approach measures biological speed. By using random patterns and variable intervals, the test creates cognitive strain. This mechanism exposes mental fatigue by observing how the brain performs when it can no longer rely on routine or learned strategies. The first key metric is the lapse, or microsleep. This quantifies brief moments of attention loss. A delay of over 350 milliseconds marks a standard lapse, while reaching 750 milliseconds indicates a quote-quote superlapse or functional microsleep. These events suggest the brain is not merely unfocused, but is actually experiencing a temporary involuntary neurological shutdown. The second metric is the slope, which tracks time on task. This measures cognitive endurance. A resilient brain shows consistent performance over the 3-minute test, while a fatigued brain will show declining response times as its energy reserves drain under load. It essentially answers if your brain can sustain focus or if it fails as the test progresses. The third metric is variance, or the scatter. Low variance shows consistent, steady attention. High variance indicates a loose spread of response times, often caused by internal distractions like mind wandering. Importantly, there is no boredom center in the brain. When a patient reports boredom, it often masks the fact that their processing speed has slowed significantly. Finally, we measure reaction time, which reveals the neural path taken by the brain. Fast reaction times show the right prefrontal cortex handling the load autonomously. Slow times suggest the brain is recruiting other areas to compensate for a lack of metabolic energy. Even a 20-millisecond slowdown can be a clinically significant indicator of reduced efficiency. This creates a powerful intervention loop. By using this test to establish a baseline, we can measure the immediate impact of any variable, from caffeine to hyperbaric oxygen, on brain function. The verdict is clear. If an intervention works, the data improves. If an activity is detrimental, the graph will show a decline in performance. This tool has vital clinical applications for safety and fitness for duty. Much like a breathalyzer for alcohol, this test can objectively assess if a patient is ready to drive after anesthesia, return to work after chemotherapy, or clear return-to-play protocols following a concussion. It provides an objective threshold for when it is safe to operate under load. Consider this case study. After 2 months of photobiomodulation therapy, a patient saw their slowest lapses eliminated and their average reaction time improved by over 70 milliseconds. The conclusion is clear. The user achieved the reaction time of a younger, more efficient brain, proving that while it feels like an espresso for the brain, the results are sustainable. Beyond processing speed, we can measure impulsivity and the flinch response. Tapping when the screen is red indicates a loss of inhibition, often caused by the brain's default mode network taking over. This leads to guessing rather than reacting. Proper intervention can help quiet this network, reducing impulsivity and the urge to game the system. The test even helps train resilience by engaging the anterior medial cingulate cortex. This region is activated when we do things we don't necessarily want to do, like focusing intensely for 3 minutes when we feel like quitting. A robust connection here is a hallmark of super-agers, who maintain their health and cognitive edge late into life. We are redefining normal by focusing on neurometabolic age, rather than just chronological years. The goal is not to match an average, but to beat your previous self. Instead of obsessing only over markers like cholesterol, we should prioritize brain health. Are you performing better this week than you were last week? Ultimately, the diagnosis is the treatment. The act of measuring forces a patient to confront mental fatigue, fostering awareness and sovereignty over their own attention. Just as we use wearables to track physical readiness, we can now use this tool to measure cognitive readiness. Attention is our most valuable currency. We must measure it to protect it.